You're listening to the Last Man In podcast. Covering Winnipeg hockey and the NHL.
Scheifele dances his way in. Scheifele scores! Blake Wheeler finds the far corner. And the Winnipeg Jets win it in overtime. Woo, woo, woo.
Last Minute Podcast, episode 165, and we're back. And so is the hockey season. It's no more games that don't matter. We have 82 games for every single NHL team that matter now, until the playoffs, of course. And of course, the first game of the night last night mattered big time to Leafs and Jets fans, which obviously we have to talk to today, because everyone knows I'm a Leaf fan, and you two are... We're all Jets fans, but... As Cam lifts up his hoodie to reveal a Leafs shirt. Regardless, we're all Jets fans, but my favorite team is the Leafs just because I followed them for so long. So I want to get in depth with that game. We normally don't do this on the podcast. We normally don't go in depth into games, but there's a lot we can talk about. And I feel that there's certain precedents that were set last night, not just in gameplay, but also in other parts of the game yesterday that... why are you licking the outside of a Kinder Surprise right now?
Because I want the chocolate off of it.
To give everyone context, we opened Kinder Surprise NHL eggs before this podcast. Cam's licking the plastic piece.
Because there's chocolate on it.
Where the toy comes from. Do you realize how old that could be?
I don't care. It was covered by delicious chocolate.
Okay, fine.
What disease infections are getting in there? Nothing. Chocolate's an impenetrable force.
You know what chocolate's
Except
the same
in the
color
sun.
as?
What?
Poop.
Oh, I don't care.
You could be
Poop
looking...
also melts in
There
the
it
sun.
is.
Fun fact.
Chocolate is the same color as poop.
That's your lesson for the day, kids.
All right, go home. It's over. Podcast done. That's it. We quit now. We'll never hit higher.
So there were some precedents set in that game, and then obviously we have to talk about the entire first night of the NHL. St. Louis Blues, Pittsburgh Penguins lifting their second straight banner. We also have to touch on the Connor McDavid's beating the Calgary Flames, the Edmonton Connor McDavid's beating the Calgary Flames, and then touch on the Flames game, and then just set up for the rest of the NHL, because there's lots to talk about, including a couple deals that came through the pipeline, including Jack Eichel and Nikolai Ehlers. And that's where I want to start today, is with the Nikolai Ehlers deal, because let's be honest, if we had done a podcast on Tuesday, we wouldn't have been able to announce this deal.
That is true.
Chevy's listening. I know he is.
Oh, he has to be. He's like, oh, fuck those guys.
The last two podcasts that we haven't done on Tuesdays, he's like, I'll hook you guys up. And he does it on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yep.
No News Tuesdays, man.
Yep.
It's
a thing.
true. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed true.
However, before we get into the news, obviously, we should mention prayers, thoughts with everything that happened with Las Vegas over the weekend. Obviously, a huge tragedy there, and we hope that people in Vegas get behind the team, and we hope that these kinds of things don't continue to happen and get put in their place. So hopefully, prayers are out there, and hopefully these things stop being such a frequent event. And also, prayers to the people that were affected by what happened in Edmonton over the weekend as well. So let's get to the podcast. Nikolai Ehlers officially signs a 7-year, $6 million per deal, so $42 million in total. And I'm going to go to Dan first. What's your thoughts on the deal?
One word. Fantastic. That's awesome. It's awesome. I'm surprised they signed it now. I thought it would happen throughout the year, like halfway through. But the value that you're going to get from him for 7 years and what you're going to pay him, it's fantastic.
Kevin?
Even if he plateaus at 60, 65 points like he did last year, which I think he's going to get better. But even if he plateaued at that, you're still getting a great deal.
One word, 3 syllables. I'm going to act it out silently. Just kidding. Glorious.
There it is.
I love it. Glorious.
No.
Oh, no, I love it. You can't say anything better than what Dad just did. When I saw that, I was like, oh, 6.
Kind of came out of nowhere, too.
It was nice.
Just like, all right, just... I was on the way to work, and they're like, oh, the Jets have signed Ehlers. I'm like...
Okay. Well, they knew they were going to bomb in the actual game, so they're like, well, we got to give Jets fans some hope.
You just heard nothing about it, and then all of a sudden it was done.
Which
was
is
nice.
Yeah.
my one word is hope. this deal gives the Jets hope in being able to progress and keep the guys they need around for a long time. You're seeing the core they're building right now. And just the guys they have signed long term. You have Ehlers for $6 million. You have Scheifele for 6.2. You have Brian Little for 5.129 or whatever it is. I can't remember off the top of my head. And you have these guys for multiple years going forward during probably the most crucial years of this team's franchise for this generation of players, in all honesty. So this is a great move, and it gives the Jets hope to be able to sign other guys. Because let's be honest here. If both Ehlers and Scheifele were making what they were worth, Scheifele's probably a $7.5 million player. Ehlers, $6.5, $7 million player. You're looking at a probably $2.5, $3 million swing, and that's money that can't go towards other players.
I think Scheifele, honestly, is probably around 10.
Oh,
We'll get there.
we'll eventually. Well, we don't need to.
He's over a point a game player.
So okay, let's say
I'm just saying-
8.5, 9. Regardless,
If Eichel got 10, Scheifele's getting at least 10.
How about let's settle at 8.25? I'm an expert at 8.25 deals, okay? I know a thing or two
Oh,
about 8.25
really?
Needless
deals.
to say,
Yeah.
yes. If
Voracek and Giroux, yeah.
they're saving a lot of money.
So,
Yes.
I think the question of this deal. Well, actually, two things. The market is now set for other players like the Mitch Marners and the William Nylanders, because you've got many comparables with the David Pastrnak sort of sign. So I think that this also gives some flexibility to see, especially with the Eichel deal being signed, what's going to happen with Patrik Laine as well moving forward. Like I think the market is set between 10 million and 6 million, and that seems like a huge range, but that's I think where Patrik Laine is going to fall. It could be right in the middle. It could be leaning more towards 10 million, but I would be shocked to see him over $10 million. Because if you're going to pay a number one center like the Buffalo Sabres did with Jack Eichel, $10 million, it is hard to justify paying a winger more than that.
He's getting more.
How much more?
He's
Like
getting,
the money they saved? Are you
I think
saying
the
this-
Jets will try and get him for as cheap as they can.
Like 8.5.
But he's getting, if McDavid's the ceiling, then Eichel's then Eichel's the basement, because I think Laine's better.
Oh, okay. That's
I think
not a bad
Eichel's
idea.
a better all-around player, but I think sheer impact factor, Laine over Eichel. 100%.
Not last time.
Especially if the kid's, well, no.
We'll get there. Okay?
I know.
Especially if he scores 50 goals this year, next
Yeah.
year, what he's going to do it.
Well,
So
and
to me, he's somewhere in between. So is that 10.5, 11? I'd say 10.5 or 11, somewhere in there.
Okay.
That's my guess.
So, and in all
And
honesty,
I think Auston Matthews probably goes closer to maybe a little bit closer to Connor McDavid. Laine is maybe a little bit closer to Eichel, but I still think those two guys are between.
okay. So, without really talking, the other thing I was going to bring up, the fact that you have Mark Scheifele and Nikolai Ehlers for less than McDavid money means that you're doing something right. McDavid is, as good as McDavid is, he is an overpaid hockey player at this
Does
point.
it make the Oilers' contracts both look really bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you can take McDavid and Draisaitl. It's a fantastic combination. But you can take Scheifele and Ehlers. It might not be as good, but it's not that much worse.
No, because-
And the value that you're saving is a ton.
Okay, so, well, Sportscenter did a thing before
Would
the
you rather
game
have
yesterday.
McDavid and Draisaitl for 21 or Scheifele and Ehlers for 12? What would
Or
you
the
rather have?
other comparisons they made were Malkin and Crosby for 18,
Yeah.
and then Kane and Taves for 21. I personally would rather have Kane and Taves right now. And truth be told, they both earned those contracts. Won 3 cups under their old contracts, earned those contracts. Crosby and Malkin, 3 cups each. Or, well, 3 cups, you know.
Total, yeah.
Yeah, and $18 million between the two of them. What this allows is it allows the Jets to say, okay, we have the ability at free agency to have an extra $6 million to $9 million. Like, in all reality, if they sign Laine for what I want them to sign Laine for, which is between 8.5, 9.5, which, judging by what you're saying, may or may not happen, will not happen. But
I personally,
and I'm not going to say, I don't think any of us know whether we're right or wrong, but that's what I ideally, and I'm sure you as a fan would ideally want him for under 10, but you're being more realistic maybe than I am. Regardless, if they're able to sign him for less than $10 million, it means you have Scheifele, Ehlers, and Laine for McDavid and Draisaitl. Who do you want? Do you want 2 guys or 3 guys? 3 guys that can each score 80 points, or do you want 2 guys that can each score 90 points to 100 points? What would you prefer? Going in the playoffs, I'd rather have the 3 guys. Because you know what that means? That means you have more money to spread to the other 19 guys on your roster. Now you got to pay 20 guys the rest of that money, right?
And
so
the thing
it's
I
just-
think that this contract does, both these contracts do, is not only opens up the money for them to sign Laine, but it opens up money to keep Wheeler if he wants to stay.
and Trouba.
And to pay Wheeler $6 or $7 million because that's what it's going to take to keep him.
Yeah.
And this, and Trouba, like you said, and this lets them at least try.
Mm-hmm.
If Scheifele and Ehlers, if they went for market value now, there'd be no room for those guys. Trouba and
Wow, we found
Wheeler.
market value for Ehlers to be 6, but we both think that's
I still think
under
that's
his
a
value.
steal, though. I
No, I
think
agree.
he could have gotten. But
6.5,
he obviously is happy with that. So
And the other thing too is I think he likes playing here. I think he sees what the team. Personally, what I personally think, and why the Jets have kept, like, despite maybe what Cam thinks, and despite maybe what a lot of people in the city think, is I think Kevin Cheveldayoff has created a culture and has created a relationship with his players that makes them want to stick around. Like, I can almost guarantee you, if Andrew Ladd was asking for $4.5 million a season instead of 6, he would still be a Winnipeg Jet. Because I can almost guarantee you they have a great relationship. I don't think that Kevin Cheveldayoff burns bridges with guys. I think a lot of guys respect him in the league. It's hard to sell Winnipeg, and he's been able to sell it to these guys.
Once they get him here, they keep him here.
Yeah, for the most part, right? Unless you're Alexei Ponikarovsky or Johnny Oduya. But it's...
there's a reason you move on from those guys.
How dare you?
But
Just saying.
it is true. There's something to be said about the way this organization has been able to keep their core around. I know that I do harp on the fact that there hasn't been enough change in the organization, but it means something when you can bring in high-level talent. And in all honesty, we probably wouldn't lose Nikolai Ehlers if he didn't sign this year or when he became an RFA. Because he would be an RFA. It'd be tough to... Teams don't offer sheet anymore. But regardless of that, the fact that he wants to sign a year before his contract's up and probably sign for less money than he's honestly worth, and Scheifele did the same thing, it speaks volumes about what this management does and the relationship they have with their players.
You know what's amazing? This will change next year, but the Jets and the Oilers are both in the bottom 6 in salary cap this year.
Which is insane.
The Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche both have higher cap hits than the Oilers and the Jets.
Yeah, well, they're big boys, okay?
But you also have
I'm
to
just saying.
think a lot
So
of
you
what
have
the
to
Vegas
think
did.
that-
Vegas took a lot of cap dumps, though. So
Yes.
I don't think putting Vegas.
But that goes to show you, I think they're both franchises are on the right path in terms of where they're going. It's just with the deals that Winnipeg's getting and the deals that Edmonton's getting, there's to
Some
me the
discrepancy.
Jets deals are better deals.
Mhm.
They might not be better players, but they're better deals.
Is there...
you're
Chiarelli's
getting
still
more.
in...
You're getting more money. You're getting. Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
do it.
You're getting more money bang for your buck.
Yeah, more value for the player you're getting because you're getting essentially for Connor McDavid, you're getting 2 Mark Scheifeles. And I don't think that McDavid's 2 times better than Mark Scheifele personally.
And like you said, they could have the entire line if you had Laine
For under
roughly the same amount that Edmonton's paying 2 guys.
Well, if you get him for
If-
Draisaitl money, all you have to do is get Laine for Draisaitl money, and you're
You're under.
got your whole line.
He could
for
sign
less.
for 10 and they'd be right around the same, just over.
Exactly, just over.
It's
And really, if you compare it to the other teams in the league, they'd be right around that mark of probably the highest paid top, probably not even close to the highest paid top line because of the fact that they'd have 3 players for less than $25 million.
well, and you have to figure in 7 years the value of these free agents is just going to keep skyrocketing.
If
And these guys are going to be making, it's going to look like nothing.
the goal, obviously, it all depends on financials because in reality, it might change. It may stay the same, and it might be tougher in a few years. But
What I
it'll be
feel like
interesting
the
to
Jets
see.
have done is when they sign these contracts, like Scheifele signed before he got 82 points in 70 whatever games. Like he signed before.
Yeah, I think it was 82 and 79.
And
last year,
Ehlers had
or 78.
like 64 points is a good year. I think I think he's going to go up.
In modern NHL, that is a very good year.
But what the Jets have done is they've signed these guys for what their value was when the contract was signed. It's probably spot on. But they've got them for 7 years. So in 2 years, Scheifele's already well exceeded his value. And Ehlers, like right now, $6 million for what he's done is probably fair value. Maybe even a little bit of an overpay because he's only played 2 years. But in 7 years, he could be a 90-point guy. So the Jets have signed these guys for what they're worth at the time, which means those deals are going to look better, whereas some of these other teams, Edmonton, Buffalo, they're signing these guys not for what they're worth, for what they think they're going to be worth. Like, Eichel's not worth $10 million right now. I'm sorry, but he's not. Will he be one day? Probably, but he's not right now.
Well,
so they're paying for the future. They're paying for what he's going to be 5 years down the road. So in 5 years, if he's that player, it's a good deal. But in 5 years, Mark Scheifele's deal looks a hell of a lot better.
Well, and yeah,
And same
exactly.
with Edmonton. They're paying Draisaitl, McDavid, you know what you're going to get. That's a safe bet. But Draisaitl's only played 2 years. He's only had one really, really, really good season. So is he going to be the player that's worth $7.5 million? Probably, but he's not right now. So they're paying for what they think these guys are going to be, whereas the Jets are paying for what they are.
Well, you could still say that
I'm just saying
Draisaitl
the Jets
argument could
aren't-
be made about Ehlers too, because they both only played 2 years.
But the argument that Dan's saying is
there's
like
almost $2 million
there's
difference between them.
there's so much more value inside the Ehlers contract.
What I'm saying
because
is, the Jets are what they're getting right
Oh,
now
yeah,
is so much
100%.
better than these other teams are paying for the future. You know what I mean?
Because in all reality, like Draisaitl's making Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Tavares money. He's making number one center money for 1 year of being great. Whereas Ehlers played very good in his first year and had a breakout second year. And there were points in his first year that people were talking about Ehlers could be Rookie of the Year. There was those moments, right? So the big thing is, and I think the difference between these two guys is when you compare $2.5 million, because I think he's at 8.5, Draisaitl. When you compare $2.5 million difference, I would take the guy that's cheaper, that's going to produce you 60 points, because it allows you to get other guys for $2.5 million. But moving on to Jack Eichel's contract, he signed, was it 8 year, $10 million per,
Yes.
$80
Yeah.
million dollar contract, right? So obviously, we know where Dan stands. What do you say about the Jack Eichel deal?
You don't like it?
No, I think in 4 or 5 years, I think it'll be a great contract. But I just think it's an overpay for right now.
Okay.
I think for the next year or two, I think that's too much to be paying him. But again, it might look bad for a couple of years, or not look bad, but it might be a bit of an overpay for a couple of years, and then 5 years down the road, it's a good deal. It's fair value for what he because he could be a point a game player easily.
Yeah. Okay, then that's pretty much exactly what I would say. But I think they get great value because Jack Eichel, not only superstar on the ice, part GM, part coach. Pretty good value. $10 million? And no, honestly though, I'm with you. Like, they're overpaying now. I think if he continues to project and progress towards what they drafted him for and what he's going to be, he's your franchise already. You have to pay your franchise. Maybe not $10 million, but they chose to pay him $10 million, and they like what he represents and what he is. So I'm okay with the deal. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected him to get.
He was a point a game player last year when he was healthy. He just didn't play a full year. So, that's probably
what I guess they expected
what
to be.
they're worth.
Greg, what do you think?
If you had asked me when he came into the league that in 2 years he'd be making $10 million, like he would get an $80 million contract, I would have probably called everyone crazy, because contracts have changed in the last. It seems this last summer, where these guys off their rookie deals are now making what they would have been making. Like we won't see the Jonathan Tavares, the best comparison to the Jonathan Tavares deal is going to be the Mark Scheifele deal, because Jonathan Tavares is making $5.5 million on his current deal, off his rookie deal, which is insane. Right, and that's the Mark Scheifele comparison. But those contracts now are going to be so few and far between, and the McDavid contract started, and it's hard to say. It's hard to. And here's the thing: if you're Buffalo's GM, great job getting him signed, getting him committed. It's a concern to get him committed. Like, he's committing to this team now. You might have overpaid right now. It's going to hopefully pay off in the end. Might be a little bit of an overpay. At the worst case scenario, it's going to be a bit of an overpay. Not too much of an overpay, a little bit. At the end of the day, if somebody had come up to me and said he's going to be making $80 million, I would have said you're crazy. But if somebody said if he was making $2.5 million less than McDavid when he got drafted, saying out of his rookie deal, if he was making $2.5 million less than McDavid, I would have called them crazy. Because I don't think there's as big of a gap. Now, through 2 years, there is a large gap, but $2.5 million worth, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I would love to know how Chevy makes those deals work.
But even Eichel's deal, like, how do you say to him, well, he's been injured, okay, and I'm wondering why he would have signed this now, because wouldn't you want a full year under your belt, be like, this is how good I actually am. Because if he has a really good year, he probably could have made $11 million, $11.5 million.
That's banking against yourself too, saying if you have a bad year, you
But I'm
lose.
just gonna say, like they're willing to give you $10 million for 60 points. Like,
Well, I'll just use the Couturier contract. I forget what he gets paid, but he should be getting paid more than what he is.
I think he's like 3.5 or 4.5,
Something like that, right?
and he's like $5.5 million.
I would, yeah, I'll say 5. I'll put him at 5.
Second line center, plays tough minutes.
Hextall signed him after a bad year. He's like, oh, here you go. And, like, he had another year left to prove. Like, he signed second year into his rookie, or I guess final year maybe.
Yeah.
I felt like he had another year to play, and he bought him low. And so he's like, oh, yeah, well, that's too bad. I didn't enjoy that.
Well, it's the
So
same thing with James
Eichel,
Ernst.
to bring, and JVR too, it's like those players might have a bad year, might get injured, and then Buffalo's like, no, I'm not giving you more than 7. You're crazy. Like, I'm not giving you $70 million to be, or I'm not giving you X amount of dollars, $49 million, to be injured for the next 7 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why he's banking on himself at this point.
let me just.
And I'm sure he makes nice bank off Bauer, so it's not like that's an issue.
Yeah.
And the thing that
Yeah.
it comes to is just, I get that these deals are happening, but it just goes back to the Jets deals. You look at those deals, and I can't sit here and say that Eichel at his rate is a good deal when you compare him to the Jets contracts, because I can't.
No.
And I think, it also goes back to the fact that the Jets got way under market value for their guys. Somehow, I don't know how.
I think Chevy.
Let's put it this way: you're paying $12 million for Scheifele and Ehlers. On Buffalo, you could have Jack Eichel and Zemgus Girgensons
Deal.
for the same amount of money.
Yeah, that's an NHL All-Star and a
I'm just-
future
You know
who's-
team captain.
Oh, quick question.
Sorry,
you know who has not been an NHL All-Star? Neither Scheifele or
That's it. That's a trick.
Ehlers.
That's a trick.
That's how you
Chevy's
got
like,
Zemgus
well, that's too
Girgensons
bad.
is an All-Star. Out of those 4 players you just named, there's only
true.
one All-Star.
naturally. No, but
Yeah, but
hold
he's
on.
making 1.6, which
That's-
is probably fair.
That's one of those quiz questions, though, in like 10 years from now. Name one of these players in the years 2016-17.
All I'm
Who is
saying
the
is just-
All-Star? Everyone's like, come on, clearly it's anyone but that guy.
It just all goes back to the value in those.
Oh, I have a
John Scott would have been
Yeah.
good too.
I have a theory as to how Cheveldayoff gets him to sign. Okay, so obviously these guys are gone a lot, so they have like a cleaning service. People go in and clean their homes. Chevy is a co-owner of the cleaning service. Goes in, takes their kittens and puppies, and he's like, if you don't,
Not
if
a
you
rumor.
don't-
We need to start.
If you don't sign,
Don't put
I'm
that
gonna
out there.
Little
rename.
mittens.
I'm gonna rename your animals. They're like, what? That's
Don't put
stupid.
that
And he's
out
like,
there.
I will rename your animals. I would train them to be. Here we go. Sponsored by Bud Light. You guys remember those commercials? Every time they said "Here we go," that dog would show up with a beer can. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
The game last night.
Just right into
The
it.
game that opened the
Why are
season
you
for the
sighing?
NHL.
You're on the good end of it.
Wait, hold on. You guys.
Why is Greg going?
Wait, let's not glance.
distraught?
Let's not glance over the great signings that happened. There was
Oh,
two other
sorry.
great signings. Josh Manson signed in a 4-year extension, on average 4.1 AAV. Not bad. Oh, but this is a big one. Josh Anderson. You know he was holding out and he was going to go to the KHL. He signed a 3-year deal with $5.55 million in its entirety. That means he was holding $1.85 million. You're going to go to the KHL. What?
Yeah,
What the hell?
I saw there. Like, I honestly think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure what I read was they wanted to offer him a 3-year deal for 1.5 or $2 million.
Yeah.
And he wanted a 1-year $850K contract.
So I think
I was like,
it's like
shouldn't
200
that be-
grand. What are you doing?
I was like, shouldn't that be the other way around? Like
Shouldn't you want more money, more
Like the
term?
player wants. I guess maybe he wants to have like a bridge, but like
How old is he?
Josh Anderson?
He might.
22 maybe?
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say maybe if he was like 26, 27, that
banking
1
himself?
year would get him into his into his
You know what?
UFA year,
I
but-
think Josh he really wanted to get the new Tesla now. But he needed the extra $5,000 on the signing bonus.
There it
And
is.
he's
Yeah.
like, I'm not budging. I need
There
that
it is.
Tesla. It's sweet.
I want the
It
Tesla.
drives itself. Yeah. Okay, so the game yesterday.
You forgot with the best signing of all,
Oh, shit. Did I miss one?
Yager.
Oh, yeah, dude! 1 year,
Oh,
1 mil,
get that.
with $1 million incentives with the Calgary Flames.
So, the best thing about this deal is once Yager plays the Vegas Golden Knights, he'll have played against 36 NHL teams. 5 teams that are no longer in the league. And this is a trivia question for all you people out there. You can bring this up at parties. You can impress women with it. You won't be able to impress women with it.
If you impress women with hockey stats, marry that woman right now.
And leave a comment as to, yeah.
Let us
how it
know who
happened.
the lady is, how it happened,
Exactly.
and I expect our wedding invitations in the mail.
Exactly.
Yep.
Cam will be MC. Dan and I will just sit there and
Yeah,
do
I'll
nothing.
do it.
So, the 5 teams obviously are the Hartford Whalers, the Atlanta Thrashers, the Winnipeg Jets 1.0, Minnesota
Minnesota
North Stars, and what's the one I'm forgetting?
Quebec.
Quebec. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sorry, what is this?
The 5 NHL teams that Yager played against that are no longer in the NHL.
He played on the line
And
last...
he's also playing with Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Matthew Tkachuk's a son of an NHL player named Keith Tkachuk. Played for the Winnipeg Jets. Not bad. Was drafted the same year as Jaromir Jagr.
I think I read a stat the other day.
What?
I think the average age of the Flames, like they would have been like born the year Yager started playing or something stupid, or they would have been like 3 or 4 years. Like it's
Yager is
something
literally
ridiculous.
their dad.
Yeah.
All of them.
It's
He
ridiculous.
is team dad, and it's his first time playing for for a Canadian franchise. And you know what? I'm okay with him in Calgary. Could be a fun time. He didn't play last night, but I think he'll.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting him for $1 million.
Yeah.
I think there's $1 million in sign and like performance
Incentives.
performance bonuses, but so
It's
what?
not much, and you know what? He
For a
gets
young
to
team,
keep
too,
playing
like-
his
yeah.
keeps getting to play hockey, and he'll probably still score like 15, 20 goals.
Is he gonna light it up? Probably not. Is he gonna be terrible? No.
No. Okay, so now time to get into the game.
The big game.
The game that Greg
So,
is so distraught over.
I'm not distraught over it. I just don't want to brag, because last year I came in all angry after the Laine hat trick.
You didn't look at the upsides of the game.
I didn't, and I think that I could easily have come on the podcast today and been an obnoxious jerk about it, and talked about how great the team is, and talk about how good Toronto is.
And how Auston Matthews is on pace for like 276 points.
So
It's-
he was
it's-
on pace for 320 goals last year, and he fell off dramatically. So it's
Was he?
scored 4 in the first game.
What's
last
3
year.
times 82?
246.
Well, Wayne Simmons is on pace for that, and I expect at least 200 out of him.
So instead of coming on here and bragging, I wanted to come on here and talk about the game and be honest about it. Talk about the plus sides on both teams, and in all, talk about a rivalry that is going to be amazing to watch for the next 10 to 15 years. As long as Laine and Matthews are there, they're going to be compared to forever. And it is a Canadian city rivalry, and it's something that the media is going to feed off of, which is great. It's something the fans feed off of, which is great, and it's something the players are going to feed off of, which is great. And starting it as the debut game for the season on Hockey Night in Canada on a Wednesday night was a perfect play by the NHL. It's too bad they couldn't do it last year. Doing it this year, fantastic job. Now, obviously, I didn't get to see any of the pregame stuff because Cam and I were at the game together.
Then you know what? I will lead off because I watched it at home. You guys were there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't see the pregame. I lied. I just saw the play, I just saw the player intros and that on TV. They had a video package at the beginning. You know, kind of not so much Laine Matthews, kind of the three young guys in the Leafs, and then you know, kind of the I guess Scheifele, Ehlers, and Laine is the comparable on the Jets, right?
Well, in all reality, it is a very strong comparable.
It is. It is. You know, there's lots of similarities. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's the disappointing result as being a Jets fan watching the game yesterday, because even though it was 7-2 and it seems like a blowout, they didn't play terrible. like the Jets. Like they didn't play terrible. Honestly, the first 15 minutes they were all over them. They were all over Toronto. The only reason that game wasn't 4 or 5-0 the other way for the Jets is Frederik Andersen. He played unreal.
Yep.
I've never seen the Jets look that good for that long, and their power play looked like, I know they didn't score, but their power play looked amazingly good. Like it was smooth. It was quick passes. I think they had like 20 power play shots in the game. It was super quick. But then it felt exactly like I was watching a game last year. They come out, guns blazing, all over them, better team. They have one lapse in defense, and it's in their net. And then another one, and then another one. And in the span of, 2.5 minutes, they go from dominating 15 minutes of the game to being down 3-0.
Going into the intermission.
And, even going into the second period, I honestly thought for the first 10 minutes of the second period, until that fourth goal, I still thought the Jets were the better team. Because they outshot the Leafs 10-1 like in the first 10 minutes or something. And then again, the first time the Leafs get the puck going back the other way, two guys close off one guy, Marlowe's all by himself. Goal. It felt like I was watching a game last year, and this would happen last year. And it's unfortunate because, the thing that they said is we have to be better defensively, and they were making the same errors last night. I don't think you can pin it all on Mason. Should he have made a couple of the saves that he didn't? Yeah. But I also think a few of those goals he was left out to dry pretty bad.
It's one of those situations.
And then, after the fourth goal, I think the Jets got unraveled, and yeah, Toronto kept playing, their game, and they stuck to it. And the problem with the Jets is they just gave them too many chances, and Toronto, they finished.
I think Toronto showed who they were, but the thing was, as much as you say Mason didn't have a chance on some of those,
a couple of them he could have.
Some of them are the situation where you're like, I know he doesn't have to have that, but it'd be really nice if he could get it. And that was the problem that the Jets have had since they've come back, and the problem that the Leafs have had in net for so long. And Freddie Andersen played great last night. I'm not going to take anything away from him. It's that situation where everything's going great, and then your goalie it's one that you want him to get. You don't blame him for not getting it, but it's like
the first
really
one.
Nice if you could have gotten
the first goal. He got knocked over by his own guy, so he had no chance.
No, and I'm not. No,
the second goal is a miscue off the faceoff, but yeah, he scored to the puck. He should save it. The third goal, he had three guys in front of him. He had no idea where the puck was. Did it look bad? Yeah, but what's he gonna do? The fourth goal was a breakaway that was a terrible defensive play. I think Trouba had the guy, and I think Buff went after the same guy.
It was Trouba and Lowry closed both in
and they both closed in on the guy with the puck, and Marlowe, it's...
And Kadri just gave it to Marlowe.
Maybe it just shows that, they brought in a few pieces, and they said they said they have to be better defensively, but it's not as easy as just doing it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's going to be... They're going to have to learn how to do it, and it might take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Which,
So that was the fifth goal. That Marlowe goal is the fifth goal that I'm thinking about. Or the sixth goal. The fourth goal was the really nice passing.
That was the breakaway one, right?
Well, not breakaway. It was just really nice pass that was a nice dangle by Marlowe to score. But I think the biggest takeaway from the first period, for me at least, was the Jets' forecheck was so good at hemming Toronto in their zone. And Toronto's not a very good... at times, they're very bad at being able to break out of their own zone. Like, they have one line, as good as JVR Bozak and Marner are, they're not good in their own end. And, the Jets pounced on it, and the Jets look solid, but they almost need more... They need a punch they need a third punch to throw. First two lines are great, but they couldn't punch with a third line. You're not getting the offensive punch. Sure, you're getting the grinding. Sure, you're getting the hitting, but I honestly believe that if you're throwing Matthias, Lowry, and Armia out there, it should be a fourth line scenario.
Well, and that was the problem last year.
And you need a third line that can score, because if you're comparing apples to apples with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Winnipeg Jets, the Toronto Maple Leafs top 9 is better than the Winnipeg Jets top 9. Simple as that. It is... I believe it's undisputable, personally.
but it's very hard to dispute that because on every line you have a guy that can score, a guy that can pass the puck, and a guy that can grind and hit and pick up the puck. On every single line.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
Going through their top, and that's
I
just
would
where.
counter.
But who's the guy on the
No,
third line
no,
that's going to
no.
do that, right?
I think if you look top 9, the Leafs are better. I think if you look top 6, I think the Jets are better. That's my. I think there's more offensive like firepower. I think the Jets top 6 over the Leafs top 6. That's just my opinion.
Okay,
But the Jets' third line is a steep drop.
Okay, I would agree with that statement if you include Zach Hyman in the top 6 for the Leafs. But if you take Zach Hyman out, put Patrick Marleau in, I believe the Toronto Maple Leafs. But it's all opinionated, right? So it's all opinion based.
Who is
and
the second?
second line is JVR, Bozak, and Marner, which I would say is extremely comparable to if you put.
Well, Bozak and Little are comparable.
Exactly.
I think Little's better.
I would agree with that as well. And I like then you have Perreault and JVR. I would say JVR is a better player.
Yeah.
And then you would put Wheeler and Marner. We can put Wheeler as a better player just because of
experience
and size. Because Marno's
and production. I know Marner's played 1 year, but Wheeler's production was better.
It was.
Yes.
Marner still had a 60-point season, but
then you're going
and then you compare Nylander and Ehlers, and I would say Matthews and Scheifele probably.
Well, yeah.
And then you compare Marleau and
Laine, and it's hard because they're at the total opposite ends of their.
But Marleau has more career goals, and that's all I care about.
He's 500.
He's got 2 for the Leafs now, but I think it's last night showed the rebirth of 2 franchises. I think Edmonton and Toronto, it's finally their rebirth as franchises. Like they're finally in the conversation for being playoff contenders right at the start of the year. Like last year we joked about Toronto being a playoff contender. So what I'm trying to get out of this is saying like
that's the expectation though now.
This is the year the Jets make that step from being like, well, they might make playoffs. Like we expect them to. The fans expect them to, management expects them to, but we might let it slide one more year. Like, I won't personally, but some fans will. This is the year where they have to make that step and start surprising teams, because I think teams won't take them as seriously this year. Still, I think they're going to give them a bit more of a pass again, because or they'll play them harder. This year they have to prove a lot, because like with Toronto and Edmonton, teams know what they are. The Jets are still in that gray area where some teams might not. So this is their year to perform and make the playoffs and achieve. But
they have to do what Toronto and Edmonton did last year.
Exactly.
Toronto and Edmonton are a year, in terms of expectations, they're a year ahead. Because their expectation now is it's not just make the playoffs. It's make the playoffs and do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas the Jets, they have to get in. And, you know, I think teams take them seriously. I think teams play them very hard because I think teams know that they can score a lot of goals. You know, everything I've read, every season preview I read about the Jets, they all said, oh, well, you know, so-and-so coach and so-and-so GM, you know, said, you know, on paper they have a great, like, on paper they should be a top 10 team in the league. But they're just waiting for them to wake up. So I think everyone knows what they have. It's just maybe maybe they don't take them seriously because they haven't been able to put it together. But
now here's where my question comes in. And this isn't a slight on the guy that I'm going to make a slight on, or that I'm going to make a comment about. It's not a slight on him. I still think he's a very valuable asset to the team that he's on. But 15 minutes into the game yesterday, you have a team that's getting bombarded, getting outplayed, and then 5 minutes later, at intermission, it is 3-0 for the team that just didn't get bombarded. Now, the question that I have is that just better coaching? Because Babcock was able to adjust his team, reset them, get them in the mindset that, hey guys, that scoreboard right now is 0-0. Let's go out there, let's get the first one, we put the first one on the board and we see what happens. He was able to adjust to everything the Jets were doing, which then transformed into offensive production, which then transformed into a lead. And I don't feel at any point the Jets' game plan or the Jets changed, which means I'm not trying to slight Maurice when I say this, but maybe last night it wasn't the Jets getting outplayed by the Leafs and getting beat 7-2. Maybe it was Babcock out-coaching Paul Maurice and making better decisions at certain times of games.
Maybe.
Because I
I
felt
still think the only reason they were in the game was the goaltending.
Yes.
In the first 15 minutes.
but
But
at
they
some
stuck
point
with
you
it.
have to make adjustments. So
I mean,
the Leafs got
Maurice
less aggressive
did-
as the game went on defensively. They weren't trying to jump up in the play, which was creating a lot of those penalties. Kadri started becoming a guy that draws penalties, even though you could question both penalties that were called on him. Very much you could question both penalties that were called
Oh,
on
I
him.
mean,
Like when
Oh, so you
Kadri
mean-
got penalties,
so
or
you
when
mean
he
when
When
took-
he drew the two
So when
penalties.
he took a dive twice.
He didn't dive either time. One time he grabbed a guy's stick, spun, fell. The other time he was looking one way, Bufflin was looking the other way, and they ran into each other. Neither of them were looking at each
that
other.
one was highly questionable.
Questionable. Very
The
questionable.
other one,
There were
he wanted to
questionable
swell it.
calls.
Oh, go ahead.
There were very weak penalties called both ways.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Trouba penalty in the first period
The hooking one?
that started the whole thing, that was a weak ass penalty. That's
Started it.
Yeah, well,
Didn't
that's
the
when they
Leafs start
started.
off with 3 penalties?
Yeah.
no, but that
But
started.
they were
they
earned.
scored. That started
They
their
were
the
earned.
momentum.
Oh,
shift.
yeah, my bad.
And
But-
there were weak ones called against the Leafs. I'm not gonna disagree with that, but it was. I thought the Trouba one was BS
But,
There was a lot of BS calls.
because he gave him a little hook and then Marner hooked him right back,
yeah.
and that happens 100 times a game. So
And I want to touch on the penalties, but I'm going to do it after we're done just summing up this game. I do believe that the Leafs were able to adjust to some of the things the Jets were doing, but there was one play, and Cam will remember this, in the third period where the Leafs were on a power play. They entered the zone, and it was just bang, 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 bang. On guys' sticks, off them, on, and I've never seen better passing in my entire life watching.
It ended up in a Hellebuck save.
Yeah.
But it was live. I'm not trying to toot Toronto's horn, but the best hockey play I've seen, not from a national, not from the Canadian national team, because I've seen him play twice.
oh yeah, and honestly, that's how I felt watching the Jets move the puck in the first 15 minutes. Like your head was spinning, trying to it was quick, and
So the
it's just-
biggest
yeah.
takeaway from this game, and I think Dan can agree, and I'm sure Cam can, is from a Jets fan perspective and from the Jets players. It's one game. It's behind you. Don't let this game define you. I think it was a podcast or two ago I said this was the biggest game of the year. I still believe that it was. Not necessarily the statement they want to make in their biggest game, quote unquote. This is now this is the game you learn the most from, because you just got blown out on home ice, home opener, nationally broadcasted home opener, in front of, I'm not even sure how many people. You now have to learn from this. You have to take away from this what you can, and I think it's going to motivate the Jets. I think they're going to be a team now out to prove that that's not the statement they want to make. They want to make a different statement, and it could be interesting to see what comes from that, because I can guarantee you that Maurice is going to light a fire under this team's belly. Even though I said he might have gotten coach, I believe that he's still a very good coach. He's going to light a fire under this team's belly. He's going to get the most out of these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they go into Calgary, a team that has something to prove after getting beaten by the Connor McDavids, and they dominate that game. I wouldn't be surprised.
well, I just think it just shows that the defense might
Why was Enstrom playing with Bufflin? Why is that a thing?
couldn't tell you.
Why are we still doing this?
The only thing I would say why they did it, which they could do it, all 3 lefty shoot left, all 3 righty shoot right, and they're like, well, Buff and Enstrom are familiar with each other, so
No!
let's just do that.
I mean,
Yes, because it worked so well for 4 years.
Give him Kulikov! We all wanted it! I wanted Kulikov and Buff. We all know Morrissey and Trouba aren't going anywhere. They were beautiful. A lot
Honestly-
of people said he played like crap. I thought they played great. My mind's a little jaded and blind because I love
I
Josh
think
Morrissey.
every Jets player played fantastic offensively and awful defensively. That was the problem.
Oh,
Their offense was great. I know they only scored 2 goals, and it took them a while, but their offense looked good. Their
Oh yeah.
D looked bad.
The only thing I have to say is, I don't know if what the Leafs did, but it seemed that Patrik Laine wasn't. It almost seemed like he hesitated a couple times. There was a couple times where he had an opening, but he's just like, "No, I'm gonna pass it." And like I've never seen a guy who's 6'4" just I'm gonna skate so smoothly and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go stick through you. Oh,
He
puck
seems
through
to
you.
do that. He did that last year too. If he, if they were checking him hard, or if he wasn't getting his shots through, he almost seemed to go into pass mode.
Mm-hmm.
And he like even if he got one right and right where he wants it on the point, he would corral it, make a lazy move. And I don't know if it's because he just gets frustrated or if he just gives up not gives up, but says okay, the shots aren't working. They're checking me. Maybe I should try. Because the pass he made on the Scheifele goal was
unbelievable.
Was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he got a really good one timer off. I think it was the first power play. I think Wheeler was looking in one corner and he just flipped it the other way.
Yeah.
And it was a great save. And I think I don't know if that
But the other thing
rattled him or
the other thing too, and
I don't know.
people make good points about it, is the fact that like the Leafs were expecting that. And one thing that I noticed yesterday, the one guy that I would say didn't stand out offensively that really should is Dustin Byfuglien. He did not look.
I think Buff had a bad game.
I'll agree with that.
All around.
I'll agree with that. And that's not the definition of Dustin Byfuglien that game last night. He had one big hit, but other than that,
he should have done that in the first shift.
The two quick things I want to touch on before we move on to the rest of the NHL. Brandon Tanev made this team over a slew of other guys: Kyle Connor, J.C. Lapon, Brendan Lemieux, and also got drawn into last night's game with Marco Dano over a guy like Nick Patan. Why is Brandon Tanev, and this is like the big hot button issue here in Winnipeg media, why is Brandon Tanev with the team?
What
does he bring?
I would rather have him than Dano.
Okay.
But
They both played last night.
I know, but
Who would you rather have?
Oh, I think
Out of the three?
I think Nick Patan should be there over both.
Okay.
I think
Thank
if you have to pick, I like Tanev. He's not going to get you a lot of points. He's a crasher. He's a banger. He plays PK, but he's a pinball, and he's fun to watch. And he's an energy guy. And
Fair enough.
The fourth line didn't get a lot of play time, and that goes back to you. The thing you were saying earlier is last year the problem was their third line was very good, but it should have been their fourth line, and they didn't address that this year. It looked like they were going to with Kyle Connor and then maybe putting him on the second line and spreading your wealth a little bit, but then they sent him down, and they're stuck with a weak bottom six. And I understand that Matt Hendricks is hurt, but is he really going to make it that much better?
No,
probably not. He might help your penalty kill and your faceoffs, but I think their bottom six needs help. I don't think it's very good. I think it could be much better.
One thing I was going to note is, in all reality, from everyone I've talked to, nobody wants Kyle Connor there to play third line minutes. Agree. He needs to be there to play top 6 minutes. Didn't play himself onto the team into a top 6 role. In all reality, I am surprised they have not, when Kyle Connor makes his team, because I could see him finishing the year with the Jets, and he'll play second line minutes. They'll end up getting better with him depth-wise, not just because he'll move into the top 6, but because you can move somebody from your top 6 down to your third line, and you could potentially run a line of Nick Patan, Joel Armia, and Matthew Perreault, which is better than running what you have now. Then you could have Tanev, Lowry, and Mathias as your fourth line, which is better than what you have now. And if Kyle Connor's ready, this team could actually start rolling 4 lines, which is what they've needed to do it for 7 years now. We know their issue. They've got a bottom 6 that is a good bottom 6 in 2008. Meaning you've got 2 crash lines. 2 lines that can bang and crash. But you need a third scoring line to be successful in today's NHL. You need guys that can score points everywhere throughout your lineup.
Yeah, I think if your fourth line is Tanev, Kopp, and Dano, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah. Andrew Kopp, actually, I thought played a decent game last night.
I just think it needs to be better.
You know what? Maybe Kopp, Perreault, Patan, third line. Try that.
I'd put Armia on the... Personally, I'd put Armia.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think the problem is they have so many guys that should be on the third line that when they're on the fourth line, it's a waste. Like Nick Patan on the fourth line is a waste.
Yep.
Joel Armia on the fourth line is a waste.
Fair enough.
Um,
I wouldn't make that argument for Adam
Marco
Lowry.
Dano, honestly, probably would do more on a third line than a fourth line.
Yep.
Sean Mathias, I think it's okay. I think it's okay if he's on your third line, but I think he's better on your fourth line.
Yeah.
I think Adam Lowry, again, I think it's okay if he's your third line center, but he probably ideally would be your fourth line center.
Yeah. So, to wrap up, obviously not the Jets Bets game. You barely spoke, Cam. What do you have to say? What are your thoughts on last night's game? Your final thoughts, because you haven't really talked. I want to give you the floor.
I side with both. So, okay, I'm going to say I went to the game wearing my Phil Kessel Toronto Leafs jersey.
We know you did.
My Leafs jersey.
No, I bought it off you. It's a
Yeah.
transaction. It's mine now.
Fair
It's not like you buy a car off someone. They're like, yeah, I'm going to need this back.
Depends where you buy it from.
Well, then I guess I better watch
That would
out
be a
where my
rental in that
cars.
case. If they
That would be a
if you
lease.
pay the money and they want it back. That is
Well,
a
the thing is if you don't fully pay all your payments, then it's technically just a.
Well, on technicality, then I guess,
Yeah.
but I paid the
I
entire
know,
thing.
I'm just
so
kidding.
I
I'm
own
giving
it.
you a hard time.
I expected more out of the Jets, but what it showed me was, again, basically what Greg said earlier was this is a stepping stone for the Jets. It put a chip on their shoulder. They're definitely going to come out firing for pretty much this month. I think, okay, I was cheering for the Leafs to win to begin with, but with the month that's coming up, it gives them a chip on their shoulder, and now they got to face the adversity of, oh, are they the team that got their asses kicked 7-2? Which in reality, they still had the puck a lot. And it showed me that it showed me adversity for the Jets that they have to face. That's fine. They're going to have to go through it anyways. It showed me the Leafs. I mean, to put it bluntly, they're not here. They're not fucking around. They didn't stop. Even to the last minute of the game, Marner was puck battling in the corner. Yeah. The entire game, they didn't stop. We were sitting beside each other and we were like, yeah, they have not stopped once.
Yeah.
I remember
They were, and I don't mean this as a slight, they were
beautiful Coca-Cola.
They were spectacular without having to be spectacular, if that makes sense. They weren't super flashy. There were moments. They weren't super flashy. But they were just consistent the whole time. And they're good enough that if you give them a chance, they're going to score.
Capitalization was huge, right? And the other thing too,
Yeah. They weren't as much of that up and down fast tempo team that they were last year, at least in the first game. But they were just the better team for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
The Jets were the better team for 15 minutes. But the Leafs were good the whole time.
So basically, Leafs, they're here. We know what they are.
it's
Jets,
so good to be a Leaf fan.
we know they can score. Every time Laine touched a puck, I closed my eyes. Greg can attest to this. I was like, oh, it's
He had
going
a-
in.
he had a-
Let's just hear this.
he had
Put
quite
bar
the-
down.
Oh, I hated that. I
It
hate that
sucked.
every time.
He had quite the toe drag in the first period around someone.
Yeah.
On the point. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, Buff made Hyman slip 3 or 4 times. It was hilarious. Every time it happened. It was great. What else? Oh, yeah. Freddie Anderson,
Great.
a lot better than
Most
I thought he was.
underrated
I mean,
goalie.
hey, he's stay healthy.
Is he the most underrated goalie in the NHL? I think so.
No.
I don't think he gets the...
I haven't gotten too much of a grasp on
I
other
think
goalies.
people know he's good, but I think he's really good. I think he's one of the best goalies.
Who do you think's the most underrated, Greg?
I don't want my
Okay,
want my
got it.
goalie.
That's
to be,
fine.
But honestly,
I mean
underrated
that in the
goalie.
sense that I don't think he gets the due that he...
No, and I would agree with that. I would agree that he is a very. The Ducks went John Gibson over Freddie Anderson, which I'm wondering if they're worried about that.
I would say so.
I can tell you who the two, in my opinion, the two most overrated goalies in the league are.
Go.
Guy's got 2 cups, but I don't think he's as good as those
Oh,
2
shut
cups
up,
then.
Matt Murray.
He's not. Okay,
He's got 2 cups.
I understand that,
Okay.
but I think that's more of a testament to the team in front of him and the team around him than his ability.
I think
like
it's-
you're telling me that you're going to base it all on cups, saying that because he's won 2 cups, you're going to put him in a higher echelon than Henrik Lundqvist.
Oh, well.
And
come
the
on.
other one is Cam Talbot. You cannot tell me that Cam Talbot is in this other echelon too. I don't even put him in top 5.
I don't put Cam Talbot or Matt
Or-
Murray in the top 5.
Neither do I. And I believe that there's a school of thought out there that believes they're both there. I do not think so.
Okay. Well, when you put it that way, then yeah, of course I would
Yeah.
consider them overrated. But top 5's a big list. What I was going to
it's
say...
actually a list of 5.
Oh, my... Yeah, you're right.
See, I
My
don't
bad.
think Talbot really... I don't think people look at him and say he's a top 5 goalie.
Okay.
I think people look at him and say he's good.
Okay, here, I'll finish my thoughts.
He's
and wait.
Corey Crawford.
I knew you were going to say that. Corey Crawford, Matt
Yeah.
Murray, get out of here.
No, not Matt
he's-
Murray. Matt Murray's better than Corey Crawford.
Okay.
Like, if I had to pick for Canada, because let's be honest here, imagine there was a tournament that would allow you to have McDavid and Crosby on the same team,
Crazy.
playing against, Auston Matthews and Jack Eichel, and then going up against Patrik Laine representing Finland.
Do you think?
Could you imagine if there was a tournament that could do
you
that
think Jakub Voracek might be there too? Maybe one day.
with Czech Republic?
Oh my, maybe.
And then
Wait,
Yager would be there too?
Oh my God, assistant captain. I forgot about Yager. Assistant captain Radko Gudas might be there too.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
That'd be weird. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
I don't know if there would be an event that could do that.
You think they could host it like in the winter?
You think?
Maybe.
You'd think.
On ice that might be bigger than.
Yes. I want to get
NHL.
to this potential conversation
wait, can
in
I-
a second in our new segment.
Okay, hold on. I didn't get to finish my Leafs thing.
Okay.
We have a
Freddie
new
Anderson,
segment?
apparently.
Yes.
Freddie Anderson, fantastic. Now, guys, I'm not putting the entire loss on him, but Greg can attest to what I said.
Oh.
Every goal till he got pulled, I did Mason. I was just clapping my hands.
And he's gonna get. He's
See,
gonna
you know what?
take
He
the
stole
bra-
your heart. He stole your heart at the start of the game with a beautiful save, and Greg's like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Nope, no.
He's
He
gonna-
does this every time."
He's gonna get.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and-
If he puts up 7
And
goals
the
a
biggest
game,
thing was going into the year was, is Mason going to be the answer? And obviously, there's probably a ton of people right now that are going, well, that was a dumb contract.
Including
game one, it's
Including
fine.
Bruce.
I write it off.
Give it some time. It might be.
Okay,
You know what, guys? Though,
what's that?
as bad as I feel about the Jets losing 7-2, Pittsburgh is currently trailing Chicago 8-1.
Holy
and they're
crap.
only halfway through the game. So I don't feel so bad right now.
Not so
You know
bad.
who's in net for Pittsburgh tonight? Not Matt Murray.
Oh, shut up! I was about to be like, if it's Matt Morey, that's it. I'm out. Okay, what's this new segment? That's
Our
new
new
to-
segment that we started last week.
Okay,
Hot takes.
for Hot
Hot
Kicks,
Kicks.
brought to you by IHOP.
Yes.
There it is.
All right.
Hey,
there
So
you go.
On
it's
Tuesday.
And what'd
sorry.
you get? Hold on. What did he get?
Chicken fajita omelet with Cinestack pancakes on the side.
Oh, there's the Hot Cakes.
with Hot Takes.
Way
Yeah.
too
Hot
much
cakes.
food, but I ate it all.
For Hot Takes, sponsored by IHOP. Boom. Hot take. Crosby is still the best player in the NHL despite McDavid's 3-goal night. Despite Connor McDavid beating the Calgary Flames 3-0.
McDavid plays in slow motion. Are you serious? But did you see what he did to TJ Brody? TJ Brody
15
never gets
seconds into
burned.
the game, he had a breakaway that he started by himself.
That means he won the faceoff or lost the puck, got it,
I'm
and had a
sorry.
breakaway. It's 15 seconds.
I'm sorry, but no. And honestly, watching the game last night was like the turning point for me. McDavid's the best player in the league.
See what I thought.
This hot take brought to you by
IHOP.
Bob McKenzie.
Oh.
His
okay.
reasoning behind it, and I actually agree with it, is
The playoffs?
playoffs.
Well, if you look at it that way, yes.
Because you can be as good as you want to be in the regular season, but if you can't show up when it matters, which Crosby does repeatedly, there is no better player in my... Like, him and Jonathan Toews are the two best players at showing up when it matters. Only if they could play on the same team together with McDavid, on an international stage. But we'll leave that for our second hot take for Hotcakes.
Which
We
is
got
right now.
we got to have a stack. But
What's
honestly, I side with Bob McKenzie. McDavid, there's no doubt McDavid is going to be the best player in the NHL within the next year and a half, 2
I'd
years.
say within the next 4 months.
Okay?
But this goes...
But right now, if I had to pick a guy, well, that's not true. If I was on a playoff run and I had room to pick Crosby or McDavid, and I had 1 year to win, I'm not like 1 year and then my team folded.
Oh.
I'm taking Crosby
Yeah.
for the pure fact he's been there before, knows what it takes to win, and he's won at every single level
But this goes back to...
Except Junior.
except Junior.
This...
Well,
But he
his
raised-
club team
he carried Rimouski
Okay.
all the way
to
there.
the final.
Yeah.
And then they
By
got
himself.
against a
I
London
will
team that was
counter-
amazing.
I will counter your hot take with... You guys gave me shit when I said when they ranked the top 20 players in the league and Auston Matthews was so high over guys like Mark Scheifele, and I said... My argument was that, but look what Scheifele's done in his career, and Matthews has played 1 year. Now suddenly, Crosby's done all this stuff in the past, but right now, right now, who's a better player?
I would still take Crosby because of the
I'm
playoffs.
just saying,
Playoffs
it's the
matter.
same argument.
Playoffs matter, though.
A guy that's played 2 years or a guy that's played, 12 years?
But it's not about the years thing. It's about what he brings to the team. And McDavid, I'm not going to deny, he's probably the most skilled player to ever play hockey. You put him in the 80s, he's probably putting up a 6 a night.
But
Like,
Crosby's
he is
had
that good.
Crosby's had the 12 years to try and help his team get there. McDavid's only had 2.
No,
and
but-
he did pretty good last year.
But what I'm saying is,
I'm
as
just
of
saying.
right now, Crosby's a guy that is. He's not going to like. Playoff hockey is a different animal. It just is.
It's unchained, if you will.
It's
It's not really trained
and
properly.
it showed that McDavid can get a little bit like when someone's on him. Nazem Kadri shut him down last year when he played against
But
him.
did Sidney Crosby probably not hit the first year that he was in the league? The
But
time he was in
what
playoffs?
I'm
sure
what
he
I'm
was
saying
flustered.
is exactly. But there are still better players in the league. We are in a golden age of hockey right now, where there's players on pretty much every team that are just unbelievable. But what I'm saying is, and I agree with Bob McKenzie when he says that the level of which that Crosby played in the playoffs outweighs what you saw from McDavid last year. Do I have any doubt that McDavid's going to be the best player in the league? No. Well, could he be there by the end of the year? Most certainly can be. If Edmonton wins, there's no doubt in my mind he's the best player in the league, especially if he wins the Conn Smythe. But we have to get to the second hot cake on this stack of hot takes.
Okay.
Are the players not going to Pyongyang in fear of an impending strike from North Korea? Do you think that at all factored into them not going? Is the fact that there's that fear that North Korea could do something to South Korea?
So you
Because I heard that.
Like a war.
Not a war, but
Like-
An attack.
Kim Jong. Let's be honest.
Like the
North
NHL didn't want to go because of that?
Because of that, they were in fear of something happening to their product. Because
I mean-
honestly, you think about it. There's a group
Yeah,
of
but-
pure athletes.
But every time the Olympics happen, there's always a very high threat or high
Yeah.
level of alert for that. Mm-hmm. So how is this any different? I
I understand that, but it's
I-
literally right there.
I get that.
And
but-
you have somebody who doesn't give a flying you-know-what
Hula.
about anything else
Yeah.
but himself. He has basically brainwashed people to believe that he's the greatest incarnation of anything ever.
Well, you have been saying the wrong country name. It's Best Korea, not
Best-
North
oh,
Korea.
sorry.
Yeah, so.
Better Korea.
Yeah.
But that was just something I heard. I wanted to know your guys' thoughts on it.
I mean, I'm sure they're worried. I'm sure if they went, they'd be worried about that. I mean, it's an interesting time to be, well, alive in general because
Yeah.
there's lots of awful things going on. But maybe
I think it was in the back of their minds, but
I think-
only if they were going to the Olympics.
I think if the NHL got their compensation, I don't think it would matter. I think
Yeah,
they'd
okay.
go.
Fair enough.
It's a business. It was Batman.
It's a business decision at the
Yeah.
end of
It's
the
a
day.
business.
Last hot take.
in this stack of
This-
three.
You're just
Yes.
loaded. You got the.
Yeah.
I've got
I mean,
3 hot
technically we have
takes.
4 because Dan
You got
added
the
in a
3
cake.
stack.
He did.
So now we got the 4th
What
one.
was mine? Oh, McDavid's better.
Yeah.
Last hot.
It was a counter cake.
Hot take for hot
Malcolm
cake.
Subban just got recently picked up by the Vegas Golden Knights.
You know what else Vegas did? They put Calvin Pickard on waivers.
Yeah, I know. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
Malcolm Subban. Eventually, he does not finish the season as a Vegas Golden Knight. I could see them leveraging him to move him somewhere else because.
Is his value even that good right now?
But if he plays well for them, and especially learning behind Marc-Andre Fleury,
But is he
he might be.
is he
They
gonna
might have
play a
looked at
lot?
Calvin Pickard and said he's the future of that team, and now they're seeing okay, maybe he's not as good as we thought he was. Because in all honesty, they probably should have picked Corpusalo, but they didn't.
Did they even draft a goalie this year in the draft?
I don't think so. So like Malcolm Subban should be the goalie of the future, but I'm thinking, in all honesty, that why wouldn't you use him to prop up? Like if he can get good, you can maybe move him to a team like a Toronto who needs a guy, or to a different team, to get a young prospect in return because they don't have it.
But
Because
why-
you can always sign a backup goalie.
But if he plays well, why not?
It's a win-win is
Why
what
not?
Greg's saying.
Why not?
This is why it's a hot take.
Why not mold? Kind of. I can't think of the word.
Mold him into the starter.
Why not mold him into the starting goalie? Because Fleury's old. He's not their guy. He's like a plug. He's gonna fill a couple years. He's like Steve Mason. He's a Band-Aid.
You heard it here first, folks. Dan said it.
Ben,
Not
Flip
a
it.
not
Flip
a
it.
Band-Aid because he gets hurt, but a Band-Aid on the team saying
we need
you're
time.
You're the fix for now. You're not permanent.
Fair enough.
So if he's really that good, then why not just keep him?
So where does Calvin Pickard end up?
Did he get? I think he'll
He
get
put-
picked up by someone.
Put on waivers. Where does
Who's
he go?
in last place or who has number one priority?
I don't know.
Jets.
God,
If there's
that
a
would be
team,
I have
fantastic.
no room for him.
there's 2 teams
Go.
that I have in my mind that would be actually 4 teams.
Greg, are you a cop?
4 teams.
You
in
ask
my
us
mind.
questions you know the answers to already.
I don't know. The
If a
answers.
cop ever asks you a
like
question,
we're
he
being
knows
interrogated.
he or she, said officer, knows the answer to that question already.
I have 4 teams in my head. One of them is the Carolina Hurricanes,
Fair.
Vancouver Canucks,
Definitely fair. Jimmy!
Calgary Flames,
Okay.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Ooh, I'd like the Leafs. I wouldn't mind the Leafs
Eh.
at all.
Anybody that wants a pretty good backup, maybe the Avs pick him back up. But
No, they've got
Bernier.
Jonathan Bernier.
Yeah, because he's good. I'm rolling my eyes right
I'm
now.
I'm really concerned about if the Canucks picked him up, what his name would be.
That's a good question.
If who picked
If
him
the
up?
Canucks picked him up, like how would Jim Benning even say, like, I want to make a waiver request? That's probably why he can't pick anyone up, because no one can understand him because he doesn't pronounce vowels.
Well, he can't say the A
Or the I
or
in the
the
card.
I.
But he also can't say waiver request. Waiver has 3 vowels. He just goes,
He's like Kenny in South Park.
Yeah, you can't actually
You
understand.
don't know what he says, but everyone understands him.
Jimmy actually is.
He's Chewbacca.
I was talking to him on the phone the other day.
Oh,
And he
yes.
was telling me
How's he
that
doing?
he's doing okay. They got the cocktail when he's back at the arena. He's doing pretty good. He was saying his least favorite team, it took a while for him to say it, was West Virginia in NCAA. Hates West Virginia.
Why?
How does he say it?
He just can't even say it. Like, he gets kind of stumbly, but he's
It
like,
wouldn't be Alabama or Mississippi?
oh no, the WVRs are quite the combo. So I don't know. That's going to push him away from Picard for sure. But
Okay.
like West Virginia for him, he hesitates. He's like, he just warms it up. It's like trying to
West
start,
Virginia.
It's like well, it's like start pulling make the sound in your
Of a-
throat
of a lawnmower?
Lawnmower, just like
That's how
he
he
just kind of
talks.
trails it off. Yeah,
If you, like,
yeah.
it's weird.
It's really.
I can't
it's
wait to have him
odd.
back on the show. But
Yeah.
wait, we didn't want to talk to him before the season started for him because he's got a lot on his mind.
A lot of issues to deal with.
He's wondering if Vancouver's going to score a goal.
I mean, he discovered while I was on the phone with him the article that the Sedines were staying there,
Oh yeah.
but they're giving him they don't want to be the ones to leave, and now he feels like he's in quite the predicament. And then mid phone call, the call dropped, and I tried calling him back, and they called me back like 2 hours later, and he's like, "Drop my phone and ketchup, cost the leaves. Drop him ketchup."
You talk to him too much. It's almost like you sound like him.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
Got
Good
anything
fan.
else for the show before we end this week?
Do I have any extra notes? Let's take a peek. Oh, yeah, just one little tidbit. Dan, who started in the AHL again?
For
The Moose? Who started in the AHL? We dedicated an hour to this. One whole
I
hour.
already said Kyle Connor got sent down.
I just wanted to say it again, just confirmation. I just want to say. No, I don't want to be a dick.
Uh,
Apparently, Tom Wilson's been suspended twice now.
yeah.
Yeah.
First, he did it. He got suspended for 2 games for boarding, or like a high hit in preseason, and then got suspended 4 games for boarding.
Yeah.
Tom Wilson, go stay you. Oh, I hate you, Tom Wilson.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
What he does.
Nope, that's all we got. Greg, send us home.
Oh really? It's time.
It's time. I don't know. I
You're
got.
standing
Oh wait.
up, so I think it's fine.
Actually, I do have a comment.
Well,
I'll read it quick.
I'm
Okay,
getting.
Ryan Laine. I see a bitter Leafs fan in this bunch being critical to hat-trick Laine. LOL. You know who you are. Please enjoy his tears when Laine scores a hat-trick against the Leafs as it was meant to be. He didn't. Sure, teams could try to get in the way of his shot and get injured. The more injuries, the less willing players will want to get in the way of his shot. Another point. If teams focus all the attention on Laine, that leaves Wheeler, Scheifele, and Bufflin, as well as Ehlers, with all the room in the world, who have elite shots, so teams can't double-team Laine without being exposed. So either way, Laine wins. I just want to leave it at the Justin Fisher. My bad. I saw him tweet last night. He said, "Yeah, I'm totally okay with comparing Laine to Alexander Ovechkin in stats such as 0 Stanley Cups."
I found that so funny.
I enjoyed that. as well.
To address that comment, you're 100% right. If teams start to focus solely on Laine, it's going to open up avenues for other guys. But teams don't often fall into that trap very often. It's about it's not like the NBA where, oh, we double team a guy, now a guy's just randomly open for a 3. It's the NHL where things move a lot quicker, and finding that open guy is a quick half-second, quarter-second decision where it's got to happen quickly, and it's.
The Jets play a floating. I'll just use the Jets as the example, like covering other guys. And defensively, they use a floating man-on-man when the breakout's happening, and then when they're setting up, they play a zone. They float between man-on-man and zone. So hockey, like, even if you double cover, which you don't really in hockey, even if you're shifting zones, the other guy will pick them up. And that's like 3 goals happened off the hop. Like with Buff, they just exposed Buff, and then Perreault was where Buff was supposed to be, and I'm like, well, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to go down to the guy with Perreault, catch Buff out of position.
But
so it's kind of hard to do.
It can happen, but you need the scenarios to work perfectly. Like the goal I want to take here and just quickly talk about before we end the show is the third goal the Leafs scored yesterday. Matthews made a great play to protect the puck, and I thought he actually had a decent game, even though that some people said, well, I didn't notice him a lot. Every time he touched the puck, he controlled it, looked calm, controlled what he needed to control. It's the same way that when Scheifele touches the puck, very calm, very controlled, knows what he's doing. It's what elite centers do. Gets it, brings it to the blue line, makes a quick move, dumps it back off to Gardner. Defender goes to Gardner. Then another defender follows Matthews, and Gardner's eyes are showing he's going to the other side, and then leaves Nylander wide open because the play is drawn to Gardner and Matthews. And that's forcing the play another way, which left Nylander wide open, he was able to phone Bangladesh and, put some stocks into there.
Bangladesh.
Put some stocks there. He
Is that
traded
what it
a
means
few
when
stocks. And
you get a wide open net, you're calling Bangladesh?
That's one thing I noticed about Matthews, too, is kind of last night I noticed about him is, like, you didn't notice him for the first half of the game, really, but
He was always there.
he's not really a guy that takes over a game. He's just a guy that does all these little things that you don't really notice if you're not paying attention to him. That you don't really know, and that's the difference. Like Laine, when he's on the ice, you know he's on the ice because every time he gets the puck, everyone goes, "Oh shit." Whereas Matthews, he has his bursts of when he looks, flashy, and he has his rushes, but he's not. I think Laine's more of an impact player, whereas Matthews is more of a. He's just always
stoic presence.
He's always just there doing what he does.
Yeah.
And then he has his moments where he, breaks through everybody and scores, or puts on a great pass.
Okay.
Actually, Cam's slate at the Jets actually reminded me of a good one I heard.
What
on
was
the
my
weekend.
slide at the Jets?
The 0 Stanley
The
Cup thing.
same amount of cups as Ovechkin.
Oh, that was just line it over. But yeah, go ahead. What was the one you heard on the weekend?
Why are the Leafs color blue?
I don't know where this
Because
is.
they've been choking since 1967.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I heard it on I heard it on the bus on the way back from wrestling on the weekend.
Nice.
It was pretty fun. I liked it.
The bus is the best one when you don't have your headphones and you're like, let's see the
Yeah, and
city
there
of
were a lot of
Winnipeg.
drunk, rowdy people from wrestling on the bus.
They would choke it since I. So they red originally? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, when you're choking, you turn blue.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotcha.
You gotta say it. I can't just do it.
Oh,
without
Greg,
you saying
send us home, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening to episode 165 of the Last Minute Podcast. If you want to take a podcast on the go, check us out on iTunes or through the podcast app on any Google Play. Type in Last Minute Podcast, subscribe to us there. You'll be able to listen to the last 5 episodes there. Or check us out on YouTube. Last Minute Podcast is how you find us. Leave a comment down there on YouTube. Let us know how you plan on taking in the weekend's games for the NHL. Let us know if you're going to watch it with friends, sit at home in your underwear, stream them, watch them on television, go to a bar, whatever it might be.
Probably wish
Leave
everybody
them down below. Leave one bold prediction you have for the weekend down below in the comment section if you were listening to this video.
Should probably wish everybody happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Canadian
Thanksgiving. We didn't do bold predictions. We'll open to that next podcast.
Bold predictions for
For
what?
the season.
season.
We each didn't do one. We skipped it. Last
Right
week.
now, top of your head.
No, we have to
Top
wait.
of the head's the best ones to
That's
do.
the best one right now.
Okay, Dan, go.
Like one for East and one for
Okay,
West.
I got mine. No, just one. Just one for right now.
One full bold
Wayne
prediction.
Simmons, 42 goals.
42.
Plus over 40 goals, Wayne Simmons. That's mine right now. I've been thinking about it a while.
James Reimer, more wins than Roberto Luongo.
Ooh, nice. Dan?
I don't even know.
That's where the bold. Sing it, come on. There's something to flash.
Top
in there.
of your head. His is definitely going to be Laine scores 60.
No, because I said he was going to win the Rocket last week.
Yeah, you can't double up. You can't double dip. No Jets. Sorry to
Right.
throw a
I
pen
don't
at you.
know.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, also email us your bold predictions
Jacob
at
Trouba.
lastminutepodcast@gmail.com.
Jacob Trouba scores 20 goals.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Okay, all right.
Finishing up, you can also check us out on Twitter at lastminutepc is how you find us there. So, to recap, check us out on YouTube, Last Minute Podcast. Check us out on anywhere you take your podcast, whether that be through the podcast app on iTunes or through Google Play. Check out Last Minute Podcast there. Leave a comment down below with a bold prediction you have for this weekend and for the year overall, as well as what you thought of the first few games of the season. And any of our hot takes for hot cakes. Remember, IHOP, best pancakes around.
Fluffiest cakes in town.
Fluffiest cakes in town. Also, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us lastminutepc@gmail.com or on Twitter at lastminutepc. I have fulfilled all my legal obligations. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for No News Tuesdays. Thank you very much.